maybe in lacrosse, it doesn't matter how you start, but it's how you finish here. Anyway, here we are wrapping up the 2019 National Lacrosse season with the Calgary Roughnecks. So it's time for another episode of Hi there, it's Brad Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another episode of my Calgary Roughnecks this month. Here we are up to episode number 6 here. Here we are up to the end of April 2019. Well, the calendar says it's the end of April 2019, but just looking outside here in Calgary here, we definitely had a bad spring storm here and just got buried by the avalanche again. I mean, we got buried by the avalanche on the ice here. Now the whole city got buried by the avalanche here, but one of those freak spring storms here. But it still signified it springs here in Alberta. But getting back to the Roughnecks here, well, the 2019 NLL Regular season is over here, and I'm gonna say the Calgary Roughnecks all season have been inconsistent, but the last month of the season we knew we were going into the playoffs here, but was jockeying up for position and possibly get a home playoff date in the Rough House here. So let's bring up my notes here and let's recap how April 2019 went for the Calgary Roughnecks here. As you recall here, if you went back to the last episode, we were coming off a bad loss to the San Diego Seals there, and Calgary was down to 7-8 on the regular season here. So we had 3 more games to go in the regular season. Plus we had a bye, but we had to bye the last week of the regular season here. So basically, you get an extra week to prepare for the playoffs, and had to do some scoreboard watching to know A, who we draw, and B, did we ultimately get a home playoff date, at least for the West semifinal here. So let's bring up my notes here, and we'll see how, let's recap how April 2019 went here. So, okay, so week 17 of the NLL schedule was back on Saturday, April the 16th here. The Calgary Roughnecks went on the road to the Wells Fargo Center. It was a 10 a.m. ball drop, or noon in Eastern Time in Philadelphia here, as this was the first visit to Philadelphia, or at least the latest reincarnation of the Philadelphia Wings franchise. They were one of the 2 expansion teams that came into the league for this past season. The San Diego Seals was the other, but the Philadelphia Wings came back in, and coming in this game, we knew the Philadelphia Wings were one of the bottom teams in the league and weren't going to make the playoffs here, but hopefully this was a chance to rebound from the tough loss to San Diego the week before here, and that's exactly what the Calgary Roughnecks needed, because we did get off to a strong start against the Philadelphia Wings here, as the Calgary Roughnecks actually opened up the scoring with 5 straight goals in the first quarter here. Both Dane Dobbie and Riley Lolan each had 2 goals. After each dash opened the scoring in the first quarter, so it was actually 5-0 for the Calgary Roughnecks after the first quarter in Philadelphia there. However, Philadelphia did answer back in the second quarter as they scored 3 straight goals of their own to start off the second quarter there. Jordan Hall and Kale Metz scored 2 goals before the Calgary Roughnecks got a couple more of their own by Greg Harnett and Tyler Burton. So it was 7-3 for the Calgary Roughnecks at halftime, and that's how the game came in at halftime here. Note 4 of the 5 goals for the quarter happened in the first 3-minute span there, so you got sudden the 3-minute span there, so the goals came pretty quick and often in bunches here. So the third quarter featured a lot more offense on both sides here, as there was 12 goals between the 2 teams here. Highlight is that Josh Courier, yes, he's the brother of Zach Courier of the Calgary Roughnecks here. He had 3 goals here, and Curtis Superman Dixon for the Calgary Roughnecks had 2 goals. And the Calgary Roughnecks still continue to lead with 14-8 here after 3 quarters here. Fourth quarter, saw some more offense. I mean, that's definitely one thing that's been kind of unusual with this game in particular, is that most Calgary Roughneck games has had most offense happen in the first half, and then things settle down in the second half here. But actually, for this game in particular, there was more offense in the second half here, and actually Philadelphia slightly outscored the Calgary Roughnecks in the fourth quarter of this one, but it was mostly happening in the final few minutes for the game, where it was well overreached for the Calgary Roughnecks and the Philadelphia Wings there, as we highlight here again that Jordan Hall and Josh Courier, the Wings players, each had 2 goals for Philadelphia, while Calgary got their goals from their usual suspects. Let's call them the 3 Ds, Dutch, Dobbie, and Dixon, as Calgary always gets big goals from those 3 here. And Calgary had the best offensive showing of the season by defeating the Philadelphia Wings 18-13 here. As I said at the start, recapping this game, we took advantage of the opponent here because the Eastern Division was all out of doubt here for the Philadelphia Wings here, as they were not going to the playoffs in their first year of existence here, this version of the Philadelphia Wings here. But, Calgary Roughnecks with this win evens their record at 8-8 on the regular season, and they finished the 2019 regular season on the road at 5-4 here, because Calgary has 2 more games left at home. So the Wings were led by, Josh Courier had 5 goals and 1 assist here. Keel Metz with 2 goals and 5 assists here. And then Jordan Hall had 3 goals and 2 assists. And Kevin Crowley also chipped in with a goal and 5 assists there. That's who led the way for the Wings here. Roughnecks had a big game for Dane Dobbie. He definitely had an enormous game here. He had 4 goals and 7 assists for 11 points there. And Curtis Superman Dixon, he had a double-digit game with 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points here. And Reese Dutch, he had a pedestrian 2 goals, 4 assists. That's what he usually gets. And Riley Alone had 2 goals, 2 assists to note here. So that was, the usual suspects, the 3 Ds there. So the Philadelphia Wings actually outshot the Calgary Roughnecks in this game, 59-52. There was left a lot of offense here. Philadelphia actually used both goalies in this game, as Doug Buchanan started and Gro Abrams each allowed 9 goals, and Christian Del Bianco for the Calgary Roughnecks did his thing by making 46 saves there. So that was the Calgary Roughnecks and the Philadelphia Wings here. So if you go to week 18 here, this game did actually happen on Friday, April the 12th here. It was a 7:30 ball drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome. This game was rescheduled from Saturday night because the Calgary Flames at the time needed the building for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup playoffs there. So this game got scheduled to Friday, the day before here, and we were taking on the Georgia Swarm here. This franchise used to be in Minnesota, and in the last couple of years they relocated to Duluth, Georgia, which is a suburb outside Atlanta there, and this was definitely a tough test for the Calgary Roughnecks here, as the Georgia Swarm have been one of the top teams in the league the last couple of years, including winning a championship there a couple of years ago. And big thing with this game too was if Calgary was hoping to maybe have a home playoff date for the West semifinal here, they had to win these 2 last games and do a little scoreboard watching here. So personally though, I actually missed this game, and I'm a little bummed that I wound up missing this game. I wasn't feeling well earlier in the month there, and it was a game time decision, as a coach would say, on if I was going to go to the game here, and ultimately I missed it. But it turned out to be actually a great game here for both sides here. Another side note in this game is that finally, for the Calgary Roughnecks, Jesse King made his Calgary Roughnecks debut here, because we traded Holden Catoni to the Georgia Swarm in the off-season and got Jesse King here for some offensive punch here, but he started the season injured here, so he actually finally made his Calgary debut at this game, failing against the Georgia Swarm here. And how this game started? Well, both players in that trade got involved in the first quarter here. I mean, Holden and Katoni scored 2 goals for the Georgia Swarm here. Well, actually, Jesse King, he also got his first goal as a Calgary Roughneck here in the first quarter. And after the first quarter there, the Calgary Roughnecks actually were up 4-2 there. Second quarter, some scoring, 6 goals for each side here. Georgia scored the first 4 goals in the second quarter there, but Calgary got 6 out of the next 8 goals in the quarter there, and the second half of the second quarter. So Georgia definitely looked out strong in the second quarter there, but then the second half of the second quarter for halftime here, the Calgary Roughnecks came in strong and led 10-8 at halftime here. And then the third quarter here, the Georgia Swarm definitely took over here as they got up and tied the game. And the game was tied at 11 after 3 quarters there. And then the cliffhanger definitely came into play in the fourth quarter here, I should say, as Georgia took the lead early in the fourth quarter as Miles Thompson scored to make it 12-11. But then Dane Dobbie, 2 minutes later, tied the game to make it 12-12. And then Miles Thompson put the Swarm back up with a minute and a half later there to make it 13-12. And then Dane Dobbie struck again, another minute and a half later. So it was 13-13 for the game there, just before the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter there. And then the game stayed tied at 13-13 until about, for 6 minutes there. And it wasn't until with just under 2 minutes to go here that shorthanded, of all things, Curtis Superman Dixon scored the big goal, and it turned out to be the eventual game winner. As with 2 minutes to go, the Calgary Roughnecks took 14-13 lead over the Georgia Swarm, and we were able to hang on, and we won this game 14-13, keeping potential hopes of a home playoff date alive here. But it was definitely one heck of a thrilling game there, which unfortunately I missed it. But sometimes you gotta take care of yourself there, and I used the night in instead. But I did watch some of it on Bleacher Report Live there too, so I got to catch it in beats here. So who led the way for the Georgia Swarm? Well, Holden Katoni, the former Roughneck there, he had 4 goals and assists there. Miles Thompson for Georgia had 3 goals and 2 assists, and then they have Lyle Thompson as well. He had 2 goals and 5 assists, and Zed Williams, he had 3 goals and 3 assists there, and then Shane Jackson, he chipped in with a goal and 5 assists there. So that's who led the way for the Georgia Swarm there. So they got lots of offensive weapons here, similar to the Calgary Roughnecks, as Calgary was led by Dane Dobbie, who had 4 goals and 4 assists there, including those 2 big goals in the fourth quarter to tie it up there. And then Curtis Superman Dixon, he had 4 goals and 2 assists there, including that big shorty which wound up being the game winner there. And then Reese Dutch had a goal and 3 assists, and Riley Lowen had 2 goals and assists. And let's also highlight that Tyler Pace for the Calgary Roughnecks chipped in with 4 assists there, so we had balanced offense for both sides here. Calgary also shot the Georgia Swarm in this game 57-48 here. And it was former Roughneck Mike Poulin, who actually, he was the goalie for the Calgary Roughnecks when we won the championship back in 2009 there. He actually started, but then he got chased out of the net after allowing 9 goals and 26 shots there. And Kevin Orland took over and actually took the loss because he was in for the game-winning goal. He allowed 5 goals and 31 shots there, while Christian Del Bianco, he's been one of the top goalies in the NLL, and he's been there hasn't been too many games where Christian Del Bianco actually has been chased, but he made 35 saves in that game. So the Calgary Roughnecks, they now get themselves just over 500 with a 9-8 record, and even their home record at 4-4 there, because it's definitely been a mixed bag for me this year going to games at the Rough House this year, because the Calgary Roughnecks, they either seem to win big or lose big, or they somehow manage to beat the top teams in the league but then lose against one of the weaker teams in the league. So the last game of the regular season for the Calgary Roughnecks was on Saturday, April the 20th, week 19. It was another tough test for the Calgary Roughnecks here as we were taking on the Saskatchewan Rush here. That team is based out of Saskatoon, and they've definitely been one of the stronger teams in the league since relocating from Edmonton here. This game was at the Scotiabank Saddledome. 7 p.m. ball drop here, and this also had potentially, keeping the hopes of a home playoff date alive, plus the season series here, because Calgary and Saskatchewan split 2 games, the 2 games they played in Saskatchewan here, and you can also say this is another Calgary-Saskatchewan sports rivalry brewing here, because as you know, when the Calgary Stampeders are playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders here, we definitely have a strong contingent of fans that come invade McMahon Stadium. Well, there were definitely a lot of fans who made the trip from Saskatoon in the Roughhouse here to take on the Calgary Roughnecks here, and actually this game was actually sold out at the Saddledome too, so it was the biggest crowd of the year here. So I personally was back in the stands for this game, and Calgary started off very fast and very strong to keep those Rush fans quiet there for the whole game there. As Calgary definitely, you're going to have to say, had their fastest start of the season here. As Calgary used their balanced offensive attack here and actually took an 8-3 lead after the first quarter. As you heard that right. The Calgary Roughnecks were up 8-3 over the Saskatchewan Rush in the first quarter. So I definitely felt satisfying there, and get the Roughneck fans on their side and the Rush fans sitting on their hands and wondering, why did we make this trip out from Saskatoon here? It was Easter weekend as well. And then Calgary definitely continued to show their offensive muscle here in the second quarter there, including Dane Dobbie scoring 3 goals alone in the second quarter there. So the Calgary Roughnecks had a 14-5 lead at halftime there. That's almost like the Calgary Stampeders scoring 2 touchdowns, and the Rough Riders having maybe a field goal and the safety of 2 singles there at halftime too. So Calgary definitely enjoyed a big strong lead here at halftime here, scoring 14 goals here. And then the second half had less offense, but Calgary was able to maintain their lead there. So after the third quarter, the Calgary Roughnecks were up 17-6 here. And then the fourth quarter did see some much offense, but no scoring until the 7-minute mark. So it was 17-6 for half of the first quarter there. But then Calgary ultimately, they won big, and I'm going to say this was their best offensive game showdown of the season as they beat the Saskatchewan Rush 18-8 here. So they finished the regular season with a 10-8 record here, and just like on the road, they were 5-4 at home here. So Calgary definitely did their part and keep hopes of a home playoff date alive there, as they swept the April portion of the schedule by winning all 3 games there. They took advantage of the Philadelphia Wings there, and they were able to beat the top teams in the league, the Georgia Swarm and the Saskatchewan Rush here. So at least Calgary's looking good going into the playoffs here, and hopefully maybe they found their right mojo here that we can go on a run for the NLL Cup here. So who drew in for the, as I said, next week was the bye week, but there was still one more week left in the regular season. So what it looked like at the standings there at the time there was that the Calgary Roughnecks were either going to draw the Saskatchewan Rush or the San Diego Seals there, and the San Diego Seals actually won that game that week. So they kept they had a home playoff date clinched because they took 2 out of 3 against the Calgary Roughnecks here. But the only hope that the Calgary Roughnecks had to have a home playoff date was if the Saskatchewan Rush lost to the Colorado Mammoth here. But before I get there, let's talk about who led the way for the teams here. Well, Saskatchewan was led by Mark Matthews, who had a goal and 5 assists there. Ryan Keenan for the Rush had 3 goals and 2 assists there. He's actually the son of head coach Derek Keenan, who's coaching the Saskatchewan Rush there. And if you're a hockey fan, yes, they're both related to Iron Mike Keenan, the legendary, controversial head coach that He actually spent 2 seasons with the Calgary Flames as head coach there. So interesting tidbit there. And the Calgary Roughnecks were led by, well, Dane Dobbie. He had 4 goals and 4 assists there. And Tyler Pace had 4 goals and 2 assists there. Dan Taylor had 3 goals for the hat trick there. And while Curtis Superman Dixon, he actually was more of the setup guy this game. He had 1 goal, but he had 5 assists there. And the Calgary Roughnecks also shot the Saskatchewan Rush 49-45 there, so they took the season series 2 out of 3. So if there was a tie break, Calgary would get the tie break there. And what happened here is that for the 3rd straight game here, the Calgary Roughnecks chased the starting goalie there, as Evan Kirk was the starting goalie for the Saskatchewan Rush there, but he got chased after allowing 10 goals on 20 shots there. And then Adam Schutz took over. He allowed 8 goals on 29 shots there, and then Christian Del Bianco made 37 saves in the victory there for the Calgary Roughnecks here. So, as I say, week 20, we had a bye, so we had to do some scoreboard watching here. We knew that San Diego also finished the season at 10-8, but they got the tiebreak on Calgary because San Diego took 2 out of 3 of the season series there. And then what ultimately happened was the Saskatchewan Rush did beat the Colorado Mammoth. So Saskatchewan finished their record at 11-7 here. Because if we go look at the standings here for the NLL season here, as the Saskatchewan Rush finished first in the West with the 11-7 record there, and then the San Diego Seals and the Calgary Roughnecks finished with a 10-8 record here, but San Diego got the tiebreak because of taking 2 out of 3 of the season series there. And the Colorado Mammoth finished 4th in the West Division. They were 6-12 there. And then the Vancouver Warriors were out, as they were 5-13 here. So how the playoff seeding will work in the West here is the Saskatchewan Rush will be hosting the Colorado Mammoth, and the San Diego Seals will be hosting the Calgary Roughnecks here. And the Calgary Roughnecks will be playing the San Diego Seals on Monday, May the 6th at the Pechanga Arena, 8:30 p.m. ball drop there. I apparently hear there's the ice capades going on in San Diego there, so that's why the game won't be played until Monday night there. So that's the west part of the bracket there. If we go out east here, well, the Buffalo Bandits finished first in the East and first overall. They had a 14-4 record there. Followed by the Georgia Swarm, they were 12-6. And the Toronto Rock were 12-6 as well. They finished 3rd. But the Georgia Swarm took 2 out of 3 against the Toronto Rock there, so that's why they got the higher seed there. And then in 4th place, it was the New England Black Wolves. They were 9-9 there. And then the Rochester Nighthawks were 6-12, and they missed the playoffs. And the Philadelphia Wings were 4-14, and they missed the playoffs here. So how the East looks here is that the Buffalo Bandits will be hosting the New England Black Wolves, and the Georgia Swarm will be hosting the Toronto Rock here in the East semifinal there. And it's all a 1-game elimination there, so whoever wins the game will get to advance and take on the winner of, obviously, the other series here. And then when it comes to leaders, well, Dane Dobbie actually, he led the league in scoring with 115 points here, as he had 47 goals, 68 assists for 115 points. That was tops in the league here, but when you look at the top scoring for the Calgary Roughnecks, well, the second in scoring was Curtis Dixon with 35 goals, 46 assists, and 81 points there. And then third, it was Reese Dutch, who, as I keep saying, he's been a nice pickup for the Calgary Roughnecks from the Vancouver Warriors franchise, / Stealth franchise. He had 27 goals, 47 assists for 74 points there. And then Dan Taylor, Riley Lowen rounded up the top 5 with each had 46 points here. Dan Taylor had 23 goals, 23 assists, 46 points. And then Riley Lowen, 20 goals, 26 assists for 46 points there. So I'm going to say we had a balanced offense there at the top there. And then Christian Del Bianco, he had 11 .17 goals against average in net there, and then his save percentage was .716, but .782 there. But you gotta remember this is lacrosse here, so he definitely had a strong season in net there. So that's just a quick statistical story with the Calgary Roughnecks there. You can obviously go to CalgaryRoughnecks.com if you want to see more story there. So when it comes to the NLL playoffs here, I think this is the rough schedule here, but as I mentioned, we play the San Diego Seals in San Diego. This will happen on Monday, May the 6th at Pechanga Arena, 8:30 ball drop. That's 8:30 Mountain Time, so San Diego's an hour behind us. Then I figure the West and East Division Final will happen on the weekend of May 11th there, and then May 18th would be the NLL Finals Game 1, and then May 25th, Saturday May 25th, will be Game 2 there, and then if we need a Game 3 there, because they'd play a best of 3 for the NLL Final there, the higher seed would get the first game there, and the third game would be on Saturday, June the 1st. So I think that's my rough schedule there, but I'm guessing that's what it'll be, because I don't see the whole playoff schedule in the NLL there, but if you go by history there, every game plays every week here, so the only way I think the Calgary Roughnecks would get a home playoff date is, well, obviously they'll have to beat the San Diego Seals there, but in order to host the West Division Final there, the Colorado Mammoth would need to upset the Saskatchewan Rush there, and not too sure if that will happen here or get to the finals here, and either hope for an upset when if the Rochester Nighthawks get to, the New England Black Wolves get to go to the finals there or get Game 2 there, but me personally, I would have to miss the East Final or Game 1 of the finals if it happens to be at the Rough House, because I'll be on vacation here, but we'll see how the playoffs will go here for the Calgary Roughnecks here, but right now we're looking pretty good going into the playoffs here by winning 3 straight, and taking on, we beat 2 teams that we might likely have to see along the way if we were to win the whole thing here. I mean, all odds will likely be is if we beat San Diego, and they've been a tough opponent as they've proven against us in the regular season here, but we would have to beat the Saskatchewan Rush, because I'm assuming they're going to beat the Colorado Mammoths, so we're going to have to beat Saskatchewan in Saskatchewan. We did that the first matchup, and you got Georgia, you got Buffalo, and we actually played well against Buffalo in Buffalo, and we did beat Toronto, but here, and then we beat Georgia here. So who knows? I mean, and I think we did actually beat the New England Black Wolves. I know we lost to them there. So anything can happen in a one-game showdown here. But the next episode, I'll recap what happened in the playoffs there. Hopefully, maybe we'll get to the finals or maybe win the championship, but you never know here. But so yeah, this is my Calgary Roughnecks this month. This is episode 6, recapping how April went for the Calgary Roughnecks, and I'm going to say it went very well here, and we're looking healthy going into the playoffs here. We had an extra week to prepare there and bring on the San Diego Seals here. So, if you like everything I do on my YouTube channel with all my sports recaps and that, make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also do the personal vlog and attempt at comedy there, which I'll be doing more of those as we get towards into the later part of spring and summer here, and when Stampeder season gets going. But I only recap the Stampeders monthly like I could do with the Roughnecks here, and there'll be maybe some off-season news with our hockey teams there as we come by, but I'll be still posting stuff throughout the year here, and anything I post when I'm on vacation, for example. So I do post a lot of variety of content other than just Calgary sports here, but come here if you want to follow my Calgary sports here. But as I always say, I'll see you in the next video. Let's go next, and let's hope we can pull off a few wins here and get into the NLL final here. So I'll see you in the next video.